Who would have thought? The priceless epic luxury car Lamborghini SV, limited to 499 units worldwide, now appears before us in an almost scrap state. Engine leaking oil constantly, severe damage to body kits throughout, even needs a tow truck to move. However, surprisingly, the guy bought it for a high price of $130,000, taking it home. This is undoubtedly a bold gamble. To save budget as much as possible, he contacted a professional team to repair the damaged roof canopy. Using advanced carbon fiber materials, its sturdiness, enough to support the weight of an adult. However, when the guy carefully examined the body, he found the entire body used a lot of carbon fiber materials, and the suspension system was severely damaged. Although most of the chassis rails remained intact, the car's suspension system surprised him greatly. When opening the trunk, he was surprised to find the suspension system was placed parallel in the compartment. Is this Lamborghini's latest technology? At the rear of the car, he discovered another astounding detail. The car was equipped with all-titanium exhaust pipes. This type of exhaust pipe is expensive. At this point, he began to realize the repair cost for this project might be much more than anticipated. He even felt some regret. Just as the guy was hesitating, his good friend Mike arrived at the scene. After Mike carefully evaluated the car, although the current condition of the car is concerning, its value could exceed $500,000 or even higher. As a limited edition Lamborghini, its value continues to rise. Even if repair costs reached $100,000, there's still considerable profit margin, and the car's internal systems are basically intact, mainly replacing external kits. After Mike's analysis, the guy's confidence multiplied. He decided to bring the car home as soon as possible and list all parts that need replacement. Although the restoration path is full of challenges, he believes that after some effort, this Lamborghini SV will be reborn. The guy pre-ordered the needed kits. After a week of long waiting, the truck finally delivered the car. Quickly towing the car into the garage, he began removing the pile of old parts from the car. Among these parts were damaged broken ones, and also those that could be reused. He brought a jack plane to lift the car for further inspection. However, to his surprise, the car didn't budge at all. He was surprised by the weight of the car, especially considering it's full of carbon fiber kits. After careful examination, he found that the car's weight distribution might be problematic. The heaviest part should be that heavy engine. Therefore, when the lift began working, due to low fluid levels, human assistance was needed to lift the car. Then the guy went to the package, found the special tool for removing wheel hubs. Without this tool, he couldn't remove the tires at all. Judging from the tire tread wear, this car should have quite considerable mileage. Fortunately though, the wheel hubs weren't damaged at all. They just need refurbishing. However, the tire on the other side wasn't so lucky. The hub showed obvious signs of wear, and even looked somewhat bent. This should be due to damage to the control arm inside. Additionally, the radiator appeared twisted. Not sure if there are any leaks. This requires further inspection. First, removing all surrounding kits. Putting removed bolts into labeled bags separately. When he removed the car's 1/4 panel, surprisingly found inside, there was sand from the desert. He guessed this car might have crashed in the desert. This idea wasn't unfounded, because roads around deserts are prone to accidents after rain. When the guy saw the control arms on the car, he found they were already bent. Worse yet, the upper control arm was damaged. Who knows how many more hidden damages there are? What concerned him more was the car's engine. However, now wasn't the time to check if the car could start. He needed to remove all the car's tires first, to find as many hidden flaws as possible. When he disassembled the inner fender, the panel material before him caught his eye. That was the texture of carbon fiber. Only limited edition cars would be so luxurious. After appreciating it, he decided to explore the vehicle more deeply, removing exterior kits one by one. Although he found many were damaged, some parts could still be recycled, like the part in front of him. With just a little repair, he could save $1,500 in expenses. However, his brother had a different opinion. He believed that to maintain the perfect condition of this limited edition Lamborghini, new parts should be purchased for replacement. Although this would increase restoration costs for such a precious vehicle, everything is worth it. The guy didn't respond immediately, but continued his disassembly work. When removing the upper heat shield, a complete titanium exhaust system appeared before him. This was an exhaust pipe customized for racing, with unique brand markings engraved, limited to 88 worldwide. The guy was very excited about this, but reality quickly poured cold water on him. Above the exhaust pipe, there was an obvious hole. The pipe on the other side was also damaged. This made the guy feel quite regretful, because such exhaust pipes are hard to buy even with money. But the guy didn't give up. He removed surrounding parts, even personally went to the store to buy coolant and oil. Back at the car, he carefully repaired the exhaust pipe, preparing for the upcoming startup attempt. Then reinstalled parts like the air intake one by one, and added new oil and coolant to the vehicle. When the newly purchased battery was installed, the first startup attempt began. Surprisingly, the engine started smoothly. The sound was also very nice, except for slightly insufficient coolant and oil. The repaired exhaust pipe had problems again, flames coming out everywhere. This scene scared his father-in-law, who rushed to check, holding a fire extinguisher just in case. But what's certain is, this Lamborghini's engine has no problems. He could finally put his worried heart at ease. Next, he decided to solve the cooler problem first, carefully dismantling each part, while recording each step for future reference when reinstalling. When he finished dismantling the entire cooling system, he was surprised to find a lot of mud behind the brake disc, almost covering the entire brake disc. Even more surprising, this car's ceramic brake discs were 1/3 thicker than regular brake discs. Limited edition models indeed have their uniqueness. Although expensive, the quality is indeed superior. However, the car before him was covered in mud. This made the guy feel very uncomfortable. He decided to clean the vehicle first, especially the mud and stones in those tires. After some effort, he finally cleaned the tires and reinstalled them on the car. Now, he's ready to drive it out for a thorough wash. For washing the vehicle, they have a unique method. With brush in hand, carefully cleaning every corner of the vehicle. If not repairing cars, they would be fully capable of opening a car wash. Business would definitely boom. Of course, they also know, during the washing process, to avoid water entering the engine and circuits. After more than an hour of effort, they finally made the vehicle look brand new. For better cleaning of the vehicle interior, the guy also specifically purchased a steam cleaner and vacuum cleaner. With these tools, cleaning work became easier and more efficient. Now, this Lamborghini, both exterior and interior, shine with new brilliance. The brothers saved a great deal of time, thanks to the special cleaning agent, making seat cleaning extremely convenient, as if the car underwent a renovation. After cleaning every corner of the car, the guy took out a package containing his expensive carbon fiber floor mats, each worth over $1,000. This is simply unbelievable. Such an expensive price just for the floor mats. However, the guy firmly believes this investment is worth it. Then he turned to the front of the car, starting to disassemble damaged parts. He noticed the bumper's welding seam was broken. But this problem wasn't difficult. It could be easily repaired by welding, apart from some damage kits. The front end was in decent condition. Then he turned to the rear of the car, removing the damaged exhaust pipe. This made him feel heartbroken because such a high-quality exhaust pipe had to be scrapped due to small holes. What troubled him even more was, after cleaning the exhaust and cooler, he found the frame bottom was bent downward. Dealing with this aluminum frame was quite tricky, but the guy decided to try repairing it. He brought a hydraulic jack. Using heat, slowly pushed up the bent frame. After handling it properly, he reinstalled the remaining frame. During the frame correction process, the guy found that besides the damaged X frame, the side crossbeam was also bent, so he removed them all and purchased replacement parts. This time he chose an aluminum frame, much cheaper than the original carbon fiber frame. And carbon fiber frames are hard to purchase. He also bought a suspension frame because the right rear suspension was broken, causing the terminal main frame to be scrapped. So replacing with a new suspension frame was necessary. After a full day's effort, the guy finally completed the suspension system repair. He constantly hammered, cut, and welded, finally installing the X frame firmly on top. Except for a few welding points needing adjustment, the entire frame repair was nearly perfect. However, just as the guy prepared to continue the next step, the previously ordered parts arrived successively. When the guy opened all the packages, he suddenly felt disappointed. These parts' quality was far below his expectations. The plastic mesh parts were extremely rough, very different from the images seen on the website. If trying to resell these parts, he might not even recover the cost, let alone finding someone willing to take them. What frustrated the guy even more was, the exhaust pipe they purchased also fell far short of expectations. Compared to the original exhaust, it was worlds apart. Just as the guy felt utterly dejected, he opened the last package and found a stack of money inside. Was this a subsidy for him? Actually, this was just a joke the guy played on everyone. They had previously spent over $40,000 to purchase a set of genuine kits, but when the guy saw online that an SUV kit could be bought for just $6,000, out of curiosity, he decided to buy a set for comparison. The result was obvious. The gap between cheap kits and genuine ones was clear. After the joke, the guy began installing the rear kits. He carefully checked every gap, ensuring each component fit perfectly. When trying to install the new cooler to the right 1/4 panel, he encountered a tricky problem due to the previous cooler's bent design. The 1/4 panel couldn't fit tightly against the body. Facing this challenge, the guy took decisive action. He removed the old cooler, carefully adjusted the bent bracket. When the new cooler was installed, this problem was finally perfectly resolved. The result was surprisingly good. However, just when we thought everything would proceed smoothly, problems arose during the hood installation. Between the previously repaired canopy and hood, an obvious gap appeared, also mismatched with the panel below. Even more frustrating, the rear wing wobbled like a seesaw. The guy believed all this might be caused by the previously bent frame, so he quickly brought the welding machine, starting to repair the damaged frame. He carefully ground each weld point smooth and flat and sprayed the entire frame with black paint. This step was not only to protect the chassis, but also to make it look more beautiful. Then installing surrounding parts one by one. When the new exhaust pipe was also installed, he began addressing the previous gap issue. Before painting, the canopy gap must be fixed first. The guy specifically purchased some carbon fiber damage. Repair carbon, just need to apply resin to the damaged area, then place it at the interface. Mix the debris evenly to complete the repair. After the repair part completely dried, cut it according to the opposite side's dimensions. Excess parts were removed, but this wasn't all. A layer of putty needed to be applied. This step needed to be repeated multiple times, until platinum glazed putty was also applied. Only then was the roof canopy repair complete. Next began dismantling the car's kits, sanding them meticulously. This was to prepare for the upcoming painting work. Not only sanding all kits, but also repairing damages on kits. These kits are all made of carbon fiber material. In theory, sanding work should be easy for them. However, during their sanding process, they unexpectedly found cracks on the rear wing. This made the two feel very annoyed because they had never encountered such damage before. They decided to use a sander, carefully sanding away those areas with cracks. Then using the canopy repair techniques, they restored these parts like new. Meanwhile, the paint booth construction was also in full swing. The workers first leveled the site with pebbles as smooth as a mirror, then poured cement on top, creating a solid foundation for the paint booth. While waiting for the cement to dry, the guy wasn't idle either. He continued handling the remaining kits, wrapping them one by one, then moving them to the door. He first sprayed a layer of primer on the kits. This step was fine to do outside, because primer still needs sanding before applying. The top coat, even with some impurities, won't affect the final result. However, for top coat, one must be extremely careful. Outside dust and wind could damage the paint surface. This was exactly why the guy decided to build a paint booth. Next, the guy covered the car with plastic sheets, similarly spraying paint on it. However, just then, the arrival of a package interrupted his rhythm. His new exhaust pipe had arrived. This was the exhaust pipe he previously customized, although uniquely shaped. The material used was the same. The manufacturer thoughtfully included earplugs, fearing the exhaust sound would be too loud. At this time, the guy's dog also ran over, wanting to test if the new exhaust pipe was qualified. Seeing this, the guy couldn't help but laugh. He knew the exhaust pipe was definitely first class. After installing the new exhaust pipe, he eagerly prepared to start the car for testing. He put on the provided earplugs, then started the car. However, to his surprise, the car didn't start successfully. It turned out the battery was dead. He quickly addressed the battery issue and started the car again. However, the guy completely didn't anticipate. The sound of the new exhaust is incredibly loud. His voice could only be heard when he got closer. Fortunately, they all wore earplugs. Otherwise, such a loud noise would definitely be too much for their ears. Just then, the panels for the purchase paint booth were delivered. The guy gathered his entire family together and assembled the booth like building blocks. Although none of them were professional builders, with the family's understanding and unity, they quickly assembled the booth. In this busy auto shop, a challenging task also arrived. They originally thought installing three-phase power would be simple, but unexpectedly encountered numerous difficulties. Besides needing to add a transformer, there were also a series of complicated issues to handle. The guy estimated it would take at least 8 weeks to solve all the problems. However, the repair progress was far behind the paint booth construction speed. They decided to temporarily borrow a friend's paint booth to complete the painting work. So, they loaded all parts needing paint onto the pickup truck. When they arrived at the paint booth, they immediately got into intense and orderly work. Because time was limited, they had to complete the painting task quickly. They taped off the parts that didn't need painting. Then, evenly sprayed the mixed paint onto the kit, ensuring the paint job was flawless. While waiting for it to dry, the guy also brought the entire car over. However, just when they thought everything would go smoothly, another problem appeared. The bumper and car body colors were obviously inconsistent. It wasn't discovered until they got home. This made the guy very frustrated, but he soon received good news. A fan called, expressing great interest in this limited edition Lamborghini and intended to buy it. This instantly improved the guy's mood. He decided to readdress the kit's paint issue. To ensure there would be no color difference, he carefully studied the original Lamborghini design and found that the middle part of the bumper was black. So, he decided to paint the bumper black as well, to make it consistent with the original SV. After several days of waiting, the painting work was finally completed. The guy reinstalled all kits onto the car and put SVG stickers on the rear. The car's appearance was completely refreshed, as if it were a perfect combination of SV and SVG, although the guy put in a lot of effort and time. He knew that as long as the customer liked it, it was all worth it. Additionally, the guy also purchased brand new ultralight wheels for the car. Although expensive, they could be easily lifted with one hand, demonstrating their excellent quality. The guy believed this carefully restored and modified Lamborghini would certainly win the customer's love and approval, like a Batmobile driven out of a movie. Dazzling. The tire replacement was the highlight of this restoration. Those wide tires, as fans said, showcased the vehicle's nobility and uniqueness. The guy stood aside, looking at the masterpiece before him. With great pride in his heart, he knew every detail of this car contained the sweat of him and his team. He imagined, when this car speeds on the highway, that heart-shaking sound, that intense pushback feeling, would bring an unparalleled experience to the driver. Now the question is, such a perfect limited edition Lamborghini, how much should it be priced? The guy fell into deep thought. He knew this wasn't just a car, but a form of art, a pursuit. He hoped the price of this car would reflect its value. Meanwhile, also allow more people to appreciate its charm. After careful consideration, the guy gave his estimated price. He believed only those who truly appreciate this car would be willing to pay such a price. And for those who can own it, this will be the most treasured possession in their lives. Alright, this video ends here. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.